Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrigan. Alongside me, as always, is the man who traded in all of his Xbox stuff because he's anti-Xbox now, Josh Finney.
God, don't hear me. That's fucking ridiculous. I did not do this for the record.
I know.
No,
I know.
It's been a crazy week for news. And then here we were thinking we're gonna cram 2 shows into one night, and the universe is conspiring against us. Let's put it mildly. We're jumping right into it, Corey. I know you just got back from vacation. We're jumping right into it.
Nope.
With a 7,500 word TWAB.
It's a lot of TWAB.
It's a lot of TWAB. Included in here is a complete overhaul of, not only is it the summer or the spring patch that we're going to be getting, a lot of things they're confirmed to be brought forward from Into the Light and Final Shapes updates, but we get some systems changes. We also get probably the biggest PvP overhaul since maybe getting special weapons back. It's pretty wild. So we're gonna jump right on into it. You guys already know about in the TWAB. You guys already know about this Mass Effect collab. We're not going into it again. Also, for the love of God, when we ask for questions, please stop asking for collaborations we want to see. We have had that asked for 4 weeks in a row now. And I'm genuinely going to start ignoring that question. No offense, but it kind of feels like, we know who's listening and who's not based on when that question gets asked. I'm done. I have now responded to that question with Corey, with Joe, and with John. We have addressed this 3 weeks in a row. I feel. We're done. We're done. We're not answering collab questions, but the Mass Effect collab is out. Go get your free bundle with the ship, the Spare of the Ghost. I know Johnny already bought the armor. I'm going to be buying the Garrus armor this weekend. I'm really stoked. This is cool. This is the one collaboration they've done that actually makes sense from something other than a business perspective. This is going to print money. This is cool.
Yeah. Good on you.
All right.
N7.
The Sandbox update. Here we go. Here's the big one. We didn't think we were getting it this week, but it's big. Update 7.3.5 arrives on March 5th. It includes changes across weapons and abilities, as well as Crucible-specific tuning. This is intended to set up the Sandbox for success in the new PvP landscape, as well as new content coming with Destiny 2 Into the Light in April. Abilities. Let's talk about abilities, Sandbox.
Abilities.
A lot of this, an awful lot of this, is having to do with the uptime on Strand abilities. Osiris isn't here. I guess we don't have to yell it.
He's not mad at you this week, Josh. Don't worry.
He's not angry. He's not angry. We've been having that tradition of yelling Strand whenever Osiris is in the room.
Strand.
You must master Strand, Guardian.
Strand.
The first thing we have is Threat Inspector. Threat Inspector is overboring in high-level PvP activities. No shit. Specifically, the Trials of Osiris. There are 2 core issues that drive this overperformance, so let's talk about each separately. The uptime is significantly higher than we think is healthy, particularly with the fast cooldown of the Hunter's Dodge combined with 2 Threadling grenade charges granted by Widow's Silk. For this update, we're implementing a change that applies the same class ability regeneration penalty that Ensnaring Slam uses when a player creates a Threaded Spectre. We don't want this to have a significant negative impact on performance in PvE, so we're reducing the duration of that regen penalty by 50% when in PvE, which will also apply to Ensnaring Slam, increasing its uptime in PvE. In addition, we're increasing Threaded Spectre's detonation damage versus PvE combatants by 25%, with the goal that while you may be able to create fewer Shadow clones overall, each one will be more impactful to compensate. So I think that's kind of a fair trade-off. This and let's talk about this, and let's talk about the Beyblade ability that you have as a hunter are just bonkers. They're absolutely bonkers. I was playing some PvP with Joasis on Tuesday, and he was running there as a Strand hunter. He may not have been getting as many kills as me, but holy shit. It just kept popping ability kills in the kill feed whenever he would start getting on a roll. Threadlings are the other issue that they talk about here. Like Axiom Bolt projectiles prior to Update 4, we believe that Threadlings are currently too difficult to clear off the battlefield. To address this, we're implementing a change to make them easier to shoot and reduce instances where it feels like your bullet went straight through a Threadling without it detonating. Thank you, because that happens a lot. In addition, their potency as a distraction tool, threadlings deal enough chip damage to players to significantly change the outcome of an engagement. So we're slightly reducing their damage versus players, both at base and with Thread of the Evolution equipped. And we've identified a bug where groups of threadlings were not chain detonating as intended when one is destroyed, which is also being fixed. So there's a lot here. There's a lot here that's getting fixed, which is really cool. This is one of those things where like I have noticed that the detonation is not happening. I've noticed that it feels like the threadling like suddenly changes course when you're shooting at it. I don't know if like that aspect of it is going to be changed, but this does feel like an overall really healthy change. And they address, for all you warlocks, they address Brood Weaver here also. To compensate for this, we're pulling some other buffs forward that were originally planned to ship with the final shape to keep the power of the overall Brood Weaver kit in roughly the same place. With this update, we'll be increasing Arcane Needle's aim assist and tracking strength, making it significantly more consistent against close to mid-range or fast-moving targets. That's pretty cool because I've noticed that like if they're pretty close, I can just like kind of like stand there and not get hit. I actually charged a Warlock head on as they shot it at me the other day, and it went just boop, it went straight past me. So good on you for recognizing this. Aim assist angle is going to be increased by 50%. The fall off distance is going to go from 30 to 45 meters. Tracking angular velocity is being increased by 5%. Length of the projectile's tracking shape is going to be increased, and then fixed an issue where uncharged melees while Arcane Needle is equipped resulted in the player appearing to freeze in a melee pose. I have not seen that personally, but maybe that's just like something that you see as a visual glitch when you are meleeing somebody. So hey, that's cool. I know Strand has been a plague in the Crucible, but like specifically Hunter Strand has been just an abomination. I feel like we do this every time that Hunters get something new. It's like, oh, well, that shit's broken. Gotta go nerf it. And it's at a year now, right? I know Threaded Spectre hasn't had that long. It's had about it's probably I think it's been in the game since like August or September. I think Season of the Witches when we got that. If it's been an even longer, then that's a bigger problem. But a lot of the changes we're discussing today specifically are going to relate to PvP. The big one for me is restoration is finally fixed.
Yay.
Restoration has been broken for so goddamn long that I kind of forgot it was broken for a while. The update will bring an update to Restoration and Radiant keyword buffs, which have a number of buggy interactions with timer extensions, most notably the Ember of Eprium fragment in combination with Ember of Mercy. Restoration and Radiant fixed an issue where the maximum duration of Restoration and Radiant buffs was being incorrectly stored, resulting in their buff timers resetting to their initial duration instead of the maximum when the buff was reapplied. This also resolves similar issues with shorter restoration sources like sunspots with the Soul Invictus aspect. Along with these changes, we're adjusting both Ember of Eprium and Ember of Mercy frag. God damn, try saying that sentence 5 times fast.
Nope, that's why you're reading.
Left unchanged with the dramatically increased consistency resulting from the bug fix, these two fragments, when paired together, would vastly exceed our power bar. We believe that even with these changes, the experience of using each of these fragments should be equivalent or better than the experience in the game right now. Ember of Mercy now extends your current restoration duration by 2 seconds when a fire spite is collected. If you don't already have restoration active, collecting a fire spite grants restoration with a 2-second duration. This restoration timer is extended to 3 seconds when Ember of Solas is equipped. And then Eprium, Emprium? I don't know. Increase max duration extension from 12 to 15 seconds. Reworked duration extension granted with each solar defeat. Previously granted a 4-second duration extension regardless of the type of target defeated. Now the type of extension varies based on the strength of the defeated target. Defeating an elite or weaker combatant will result in less time added than in the game currently, but defeating a champion or stronger combatants results in a greater extension. That makes perfect sense to me. If it doesn't, basically think the stronger something you kill, the greater your restoration buff is going to be. Which is probably how it should be because you've taken a lot more damage.
Yeah.
God, this is just abilities. Solar abilities. For our Sunbreakers, we're improving the consistency of Consecration, making it better able to catch floating targets or enemies that jump too late. We're also increasing the travel distance of both the Scorch Wave and Ignition Wave.
Yes.
Further increasing the Ignition Wave's travel speed, both with and without Pyrogale Gauntlets.
Yes.
So that's cool. The travel distance of the initial ground follow for Consecration is going to go from 18 to 20 meters. The height of the slam ground follow detonation will be about a meter more. Travel distance of the slam ground follow is going to increase to 20 meters from 16 meters. And the travel speed is going from 16 to 24 meters per second. So basically, it's faster and bigger. And then Gunpowder Gamble, reduce maximum self damage from 144 to 80. It's the whole reason I don't use Gunpowder Gambles, because I'm tired of getting myself blown up. So that's pretty cool. That's it for abilities. There is a lot. There's a lot here for weapons. The weapons is probably about half of this TWAB now.
Great.
And it's for specific things. I did not attempt to go through and like parse this down at all. If I see something that's like kind of worth skipping, we'll probably skip over it, honestly. As always, I encourage that you have this pulled up when we talk about these changes, because there may be something in there that's important to you that's not particularly important to me, or to us. But hey, if it's getting shouted out here and they're talking about it, chances are we probably need to talk about it. So we're going to start with weapon archetypes. We created the new heavy burst hand cannon for Warden's Law. We inadvertently included some content that made them harder to control when playing with mouse and keyboard. So correct an issue that was causing heavy burst hand cannons to have 25% less aim assist. Jesus Christ. Bows continue to be hard for some players to counter in PvP. Read most players. They've always been strong. We recently made them easier to use by making their fully drawn projectiles hit scan at longer distances, which makes them much more reliable at range. We're keeping that change, but we're adjusting aim assist data. Bows reduced auto aim fall off distance start and end by 15%. Aim assist will be less effective at long range. That's essentially what it means. Reduced the maximum auto aim cone size by 5%. I don't know if this is enough for bows, frankly. Bows are basically an unlimited sniper rifle in PvP. I do like that aim assist is less effective at long range. They're probably going to need to nerf that, but I would say about like another 10 to 15%, frankly.
Yeah.
It feels like that's the change that's going to come, but they're clearly going to let this play out for at least a couple weekends of trials before they go to change it. Maybe they can have another update with Into the Light at worst with Final Shape. But combined with some of the stuff that we're about to see in Crucible, maybe this won't be as bad. We'll wait and see. I want to get to the Crucible changes here in a minute. Breakneck was shipped with one fewer perk than intended in the right column. Oops, it was missing target lock. So cool. Breakneck, great weapon. Go play some Gambit. Go play some Gambit and get Breakneck back. Seriously, go get the reprise Breakneck. Lightweight scouts have always had a following, but they've suffered from being unforgiving with missing crits. Yep. So now time to kill is reduced from 4 crits to 3 crits and a body, and increased base damage by 5%. Sniper rifles reduce the auto aim cone size by 10%. Sniper rifles disproportionately oppressive to play against, particularly in 3v3 game modes. So they're nerfing aim assist. Rocket launchers are getting a buff, which is interesting. Rocket launcher meta has become more set than we'd like, with adaptive and aggressive subfamilies outperforming the rest. We're making changes to precision and high impact subfamilies to give them more reserve ammo than the others, as well as making other adjustments to give them some unique strengths. So precision rockets are going to get increased reserve ammo by 2 and reduced damage penalty from -10 to -5. And then high impact is also getting increased reserves by 2. Now deals more detonation damage and less impact for roughly the same total damage. Should make them more effective versus groups or when getting splash damage on a target with a near miss. The above here's the big one. The above changes also affect Deathbringer, Gallarhorn, and Truth. I actually really like that this is going to help affect Galley, because I know that the subject of who's going to be the Galley bitch is hotly debated in raids. And now if you care about seeing those numbers, this isn't going to be like life changing, but it'll be better for you. So maybe you're willing to do it. I personally don't mind being the Galley bitch. I quite like running Galley in raids. We've touched heavy grenade launchers a few times. While they're fairly strong mathematically, it hasn't moved the needle. It's time to make more substantial changes. Yeah, buddy. We're pushing them more into sustained damage and ad clear. We're also tweaking spike nades to make them less of a dominant pick. Boo. Heavy grenade launchers. Increase reserve ammo by a minimum of 6 rounds, maximum of 10 rounds, depending on the grenade launcher. Reduce spike grenades impact damage buff from 50% to 12.5%. Jesus Christ. With the below changes, this reduces total spike grenades damage buff from 8 to 3%, making them less mandatory. Increase direct hit impact damage by 10%. Combined with the above change, this brings non-spike grenade launchers almost up to the level of spike nade launchers. It very slightly reduces damage output with spike nade. Increase detonation damage by 5%. In PvP, this is offset by a reduction in detonation damage for no overall change. Waveframe heavy grenade launchers increase damage by 20% and increase wave width by 40%. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
I don't really. I personally have not liked the heavy wave frames. I believe the one on Miyamuna is a heavy wave frame. If that is the one I'm thinking of, I did not enjoy it when I tried using it. This may make me go try it. That's a pretty radical change. But who knows? Here's an interesting one for us with weapons. Caster swords, the only swords that have a ranged attack, in parentheses, for now. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind for the final shape.
Hashtag for now.
Yeah, hashtag for now. And the trade-off is maintaining distance with damage. Caster swords reduced heavy attack energy cost from 5 to 4 and increased heavy attack damage by 16%. I am stoked for this. I like a good caster sword. They're a niche thing, but they're really, really fun to use, and they kind of fit into the space power fantasy. Rather than me just going up and beating the shit out of something with a sword, I'm launching projectiles with it. It's pretty cool. It feels like I'm almost throwing mini lightsabers. I'm excited to see this. I am curious if this affects Black Talon at all. I know we have like legendary ones that are better than that, and it makes sense that they're doing this with the caster sword. Although this change feels like it should have shipped at the beginning of the season, considering that the pinnacle weapon of the season is a caster sword.
Yeah.
But I don't work at Bungie, so exotic changes. God, exotic changes, and there's not a lot of exotic changes, but there's a lot of perk changes. Vigilant swing is strong in PvP already, but it's fairly hard to control with that how much that 5-round burst kicks. If we made it easier to compensate, now has deterministic recoil pattern. Vex Mythoclast increased aim down sight damage fall off scaler from 1.5 to 1.7 because it fires like a high impact auto rifle. They want it to match a high impact auto rifle. So it's gonna be easier to aim down sight. It's gonna be more steady and be longer. Wishender's True Sight is a big part of its exotic identity, so we want to retain that. But in its current form, it's far too useful in PvP, particularly with Oath Keepers. True Sight will now deactivate if you leave ADS or hold it for longer than 3 seconds. To activate, you must fully redraw the bow. In PvP, great. In PvE, this might be interesting because we use this to determine where to go for Crota. we use this in Crota's End. So for the person who needs this, Joasis.
Good luck.
Good luck. Have fun. Edge of Actions. Bubble is not intended to compete directly with Ward of Dawn, and with glaive changes from Season of the Wish, we hit its health too hard. So increased damage resistance in PvE against all combatants except bosses to 85%, and damage resistance against bosses to 15%. Whatever, we don't really care about that. Manticore. Oh my lord. Shipped with a unique airborne playstyle, but has several usability issues. Yeah, it does.
That's what you like to hear.
Yeah, right. That's what we like to hear after this weapon's been in the game for checks notes several seasons. Players must now be airborne for 0.5 seconds and deal damage with the weapon to activate the perk. This prevents accidental activation while running downstairs or doing small jumps. We gave it a special reload to quickly disengage anti-gravity thrusters. Swapping weapons will continue to disengage as well. Teraba receives the special reload animation. That's cool. While anti-grav thrusters are engaged, combatants will be less accurate when targeting the player, similar to Always On Time Sparrow. And with the Catalyst, final blows and sustained damage with Manticore while airborne grant a void overshield and return ammo to the magazine. Cool. I genuine, and I mean this like in a non-snarky way. I do not know a single goddamn person who has ever sustainably used this gun.
Yeah.
By sustainably, I mean for like more than a day. I don't know a single goddamn person. If you have used Manticore for longer than 1 day, and by longer than a day, I don't mean like how long it took you to complete the catalyst. Like you actually regularly use this gun as part of your arsenal. Please write into the show because I just have so many questions to ask you. Players enjoyed the X-Dearest grenade launcher. Here's another one that shipped with the season pass for delivering on the Boomer Knight fantasy, but ultimately just wasn't hitting hard enough in PvE to be a top tier pick. But I love this. Fortunately, this was easy to address by bumping the damage and rate of fire. Then why didn't you do this like 3 seasons ago? This has been in the game for a while. I think this was the weapon with Witch. I don't remember exactly which season this shipped. It was either Witch or Deep.
Which weapon is it?
It's the Boomer Knight grenade launcher.
Then Boomer Knight, yeah.
I think it shipped in Witch, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
That sounds right.
Because let me tell you, we're talking about other weapons I didn't use much. This is another one. Increased damage against PvE enemies by 50%. Detonation damage is unaffected, so total damage increase works out to be around 20%. Increased maximum rate of fire by 17%. This could be really fun to use. I just have yet to see a situation where it's useful. Maybe now it will be. I don't know. All right. God, we're almost out of Sandbox changes, Corey.
Are we?
We really are. We're on to perks. Everything else is a perk from here on out. Heal Clip now grants cure ×2 to the player while still granting cure ×1 to nearby allies. I like Heal Clip. It's one of those that like it felt like a half-baked perk, and like it's one you have to be really careful with, especially with they're gonna have a whole class of healing auto rifles coming up. You have to be really careful with this perk. I use it on Abyss Defiant. I actually was using it in PvP the other day, funny enough. And it wasn't the worst thing I've ever used, but it also, like, it fires so slow that it's not really the greatest option in PvP either. In 6s, it's a little bit easier to use because you can catch people off guard and things like that. But I don't think I was running my Heal Clip one. I was running, I think I was running Incandescent. I might have been Incandescent Heal Clip, actually. I don't remember my exact role I was using. Trench Barrel was originally designed in a world where there were few ranged melee attacks. Remember that world? I really like that world. I'd like to go back to that world. Trench Barrel can now be activated by dealing damage with ranged melee attacks. Oh, wonderful. If you want to read about Barrel Constrictor and Loose Change, you can come read about those. Dual Loader, you can come read about that. Again, we're really flying through some of these. Tex Machina. We got to talk about Tex Machina weapons because they're going to ship some with the new update. We talked about those last week, of course. We want to take another pass at Tex Machina Origin trait. So Tex Balance stock will now grant plus 20 range and plus 1.5 degree hipfire precision. In addition to its other effects, make it easier to land follow-up crits with hipfire. That's great. That plays into the cowboy rifle fantasy. I don't see any problem with this.
That's awesome.
Especially if we're gonna get the real legendary Dead Man's Tale and not, whatever the fuck Long Arm was trying to be. Hake breach ornaments, deconstruct, and sundering should work more against targets that look like constructs or vehicles. So now those will work against Void Soul, Strand Clones, Cabal projection shields, and Briggs. I love it. I love it.
He loves it,
breach
everybody.
armaments have one specific edge case that increases the complexity of the perk and is no longer needed, so reducing the number of different damage bonuses this perk has. Damage bonus versus stasis crystals reduced from 85% to 60%. Oof. As an origin trait, Sundering has a fairly high uptime in Warlord's Rune because of its number of eye turrets. However, a perk themed around breaking stuff feels like it could apply more broadly, and Shield Break is an obvious activator. Sundering can now trigger on Shield Break in addition to final blows on vehicles and constructs. We added a small reload speed scaler while reducing the charge rate benefit to account for the higher uptime. And then, here we go. We're hitting... We're hitting some perks down here that I like to use on everything. Hatchling is a fun perk, but weapons that can technically crit but are bad at it suffer from precision kills being the only activator on certain weapon types. Hatchling Activation requirements are no longer locked to the archetype in terms of precision or non-precision kills. Instead, the perk will trigger with either a precision kill or 3 non-precision kills. Great. I love Hatchling. I really hate having to aim for crits with an auto rifle, though. Target lock. Here we go. This is the only real SMG nerf that we're getting, much to PvP players' chagrin. But it's a big one. Target lock is a huge reason why SMG popularity has remained high despite changes to the weapon archetype. With this change, it's still a solid perk, but much less oppressive in PvP. Now activates later in the magazines for SMGs at 20% instead of 12.5%. So the damage buff will swing primary gunfights less often. Envious Assassin. God, we're almost done with this. Envious Assassin. Each activation is now capped at 100% of the magazine size instead of 150%. Maximum overflow is now 3 times the magazine size instead of 4 times. It was getting to the point where I was having like 7 rockets in the tube. Ludicrous. Bait and switch. Reduced damage bonus from 35 to 30%. It's just being reduced a little. It's still far and away going to be the pick on Apex Predator. And 1-2 punch. Now correctly deactivates after dealing damage with the powered melee. And deconstruct. Updated the perk description to correctly state that it pulls ammo from thin air, not reserves. And fixed a bug preventing the perk from triggering when shooting at an enemy Titan barricade. So deconstruct, as we talked about last week, totally worth getting on that new bow to fight against Titan barricades. There's one mod change. Bonus damage against mini bosses should have been part of boss spec, not major spec. It took like 4 years to get to this point, apparently. I love how this is just thrown in as an aside, which is just kind of wild.
No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. Let's talk about this future section a little bit that they've got here.
The
We
future
pulled a lot
section.
of changes from the final shape and into the light. I like how they keep calling it Destiny 2 : into the light. Like that's the official name of it, and I'm just like, that's kind of weird because it's like a 2-month thing. But we'll still have a number of small but exciting changes shipping it into the light, touching content many players haven't thought about in several years. For the final shape, we're rebalancing many weapon types in PvE, buffing underperforming weapons and leaving most high performers untouched. Since we're looking at PvE weapon tuning anyway, over the course of the year of the final shape, we'll be looking at weapon mods that feel mandatory, and we intend to make some changes that will increase player choice, particularly in PvE. We're also making substantial changes to several of the least used exotic weapons. We see a lot of requests for these. See if you can guess which exotics we touched. And adjusting some perks, including a long requested change to Chill Clip, making it much more viable to use on slow firing weapons. I'm very excited for Chill Clip. I love Chill Clip. You can also look forward to being able to enhance many more weapons. We'll be back with more information on weapon enhancements soon. I suspect that we probably won't hear about weapon enhancement until April. They say soon, but I can't imagine them dropping this in the next 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like a post-Vidoc drop. So sometime probably like mid to late April is probably when we're going to get word on this. Because everything from the beginning of April to the beginning of June should be oops, all bangers. That's what it needs to be at this point. Like they've been promoting the patch that's coming at the beginning of March now. They started last week and now they're continuing it this week. Like they're hyping up a patch this much because they have like nothing else to talk about. We are hopefully getting to the end of the content drought with April.
Yeah. Guess we'll find out.
We'll see if these next changes will be enough to sustain us through these contentless months. Let's talk about the Crucible, Corey.
Let's Crucible it up.
Unfortunately, talk about the Crucible. Jesus, I want to note this is like the fastest I've ever flowed through one of these. That only took us a half an hour.
Well, you have places to be, man.
That only took us a half an hour.
Yeah, only. Right.
Oh my god,
not even. We're only 29 minutes in.
My throat is already getting dry. This is oh boy. I'm gonna get a drink between shows. Jesus Christ, there's so much here. PvP Strike Team has a lot to talk about in the coming weeks. In this section, we're covering the changes to the PvP-specific tuning for weapon types, exotic weapons, abilities, and special ammo generation. These changes are not applied to Mayhem, Momentum, and Checkmate. They retain their own custom modifiers. Checkmate has been returned to be more representative of its original intended form. There will be more info on that form from the PvP Strike Team next week. So it sounds like we're going to get several weeks of PvP updates.
I mean, that's good? Question mark.
That's very good. No, this is a very good thing. The base Crucible Sandbox faces a number of issues. What we're talking about today represents a large macro. It really does. Large macro pass designed to begin to address several of the concerns that will be followed by additional micro tuning in the future. The symptoms of these issues affect players across the skill spectrum from 2,000-hour veterans to new lights. So it's important that we begin to address them the best we can. Let's start by identifying our goals, and then we can talk about the root causes and corresponding changes. Goals. Number 1, to help players clearly Jesus fucking Christ. Help players to clearly understand the sequence of events that led to their deaths so they can more easily learn how to improve. 2, alter the weapon sandbox to account for the increased average skill of our player base by reducing the amount of high reward, low risk options. 3, encourage primary weapon mastery to be an aspirational pursuit for players. I love that last one because let me tell you something. As somebody who loves to run double primary in the Crucible, this is great for me.
Does this tickle your fancy, Josh?
This tickles my pickle a little. Yeah, I'm not
gonna lie. I didn't go that low.
I'm going to go that low.
Oh, no.
As we've increased the prevalence and strength of some sandbox elements, the ability to clearly understand what is happening from a target's perspective has suffered. Yes, it has. It is increasingly common to be defeated instantly or so quickly there is no time to react, and often so many different things are happening, it's nearly impossible to determine the sequence of events that killed you. When a defeated player has difficulty recognizing and reacting to how they were defeated, it creates a situation where it feels like there was nothing they could have done, making it hard to learn what to do better next time. It also places a strong focus on being the one to deliver as many of these types of unreadable kills as possible while utilizing build crafting to avoid becoming the recipient. Then sandbox elements that do not benefit either of those paths fall out of favor. While the average skill of our players has crept up over the years, the weapons sandbox has not grown alongside it. For example, a much higher percentage of our players can hit optimal time to kill with SMGs, peek and shoot with hand cannons, or Blint. Look it up with Wish Ender today than could several years ago. In large part, this is because of a certain amount of forgiveness that was baked into many primary weapons to allow players to utilize them at their full potential. High reward weapons like precision SMGs or aggressive hand cannons only requiring 67% critical hits to achieve optimal time to kill, and Wish Ender allowing you to follow up with the bow swap with a body shot from a hand cannon. This leniency allows players to make mistakes and still benefit from the full strength of the playstyle. This made sense when the average player skill was lower, but in the current ecosystem, a far larger number of players can take advantage of those benefits. This is manifesting itself in multiple places, but it's most notable in the significant compression of the skill gap at high levels of play. An additional byproduct is an increase in difficulty for new players finding their footing in a game where many veteran players have near mastery of these existing playstyles, which increases the friction of refreshing the pool of players in Crucible. So let's start there. A very common complaint that I hear about the Crucible is it's too hard. Players, players just have these absurd loadouts. I don't know how to kill people. I don't enjoy it. It's nothing but sweats 24/7. And I think this is less of it being sweats, and people have just they've gone and watched all these streamers and all these YouTube clips, and they have just mastered that specific loadout. Hence why you see a meltdown whenever the slightest change is announced. Mm-hmm. And it's usually from these people who only want to use the same loadout 24/7 because they don't want to experiment with build crafting. Even experimenting with it is going to result in you probably using something that's not optimal. You're not using optimal DPS. Like, this is a problem we see in the PvE community all the times. And it makes it really hard to go engage in something like Trials or even something like Iron Banner, when Iron Banner is supposed to be the pinnacle mode that's accessible to everybody, with the loot pool and things like that. Trials also should not be one of those things that I think is like gatekeeped off. I don't think it's wrong to block off certain things. I do think that some things like adept weapons absolutely should be locked behind getting the house. I don't think it should be super unattainable to get the weapons, though. I think to get the weapons and to an extent getting the armor, I don't think should be a super hard thing, especially when I think we all have very vivid memories of how Mountaintop and Recluse were locked behind Crucible. And you had to do so much to get those weapons back in the day before they made them easier to get with the drop of Shadowkeep. Granted, that was after multiple nerfs to the weapons. But I remember when you could go buy Mountaintop from the kiosk, that's the first thing I did was go and buy it. And that was when it was just, it wasn't great anymore. And yet so many of us ran to go buy it right away and spend our golf balls on it. And like, that should tell you something. Like, we got terrorized with it for so long. It was so unenjoyable. And I never want to see a return to a meta like that, where like, oh, the best weapons are locked away. At the same time, I understand the argument from PvP mains that, hey, well, we need aspirational gear to get to. PvE players have that in a raid or in a dungeon or in a nightfall or something like that. Like, they have that. We need that too. I think it's always going to be a little bit different when you're talking about, well, you have to be skilled at PvP to get a weapon, whereas you can learn you can learn PvE enemy patterns. Mm-hmm. There are strategies there. I think it's a lot harder in a PvP environment. So I'm glad they're finally acknowledging this. Like, this is one of the root causes of problems in the Crucible is new players and players of lower skill levels get really discouraged.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say I play a lot more PvP than you do, Corey, and I get very discouraged in there.
Yeah.
I'm a person who usually resets a couple times a season in the Crucible, and lately I haven't even been doing one reset a season because I've just been so frustrated.
Yeah.
So that should speak, I think, volumes that like even someone who like me, who's I would say like above casual, but not like not sweaty, in terms of how much Crucible I play. I don't even feel like I'm the target audience in Crucible anymore. So that's I think that's a good starting place that they have here with high levels of play, things like body shot damage, generous aim assist, primary weapon flinch, and low crit hit requirements all contribute to feeling that putting in the time to improve your skill with primary weapons is generally not worth the effort. Yep, 100%. Everybody runs around with bows, slug shotties, or snipers. Well, not slugs. I shouldn't say slugs. They run around with shotties. With many meta primary weapons hitting optimal or near optimal time to kill is less representative of mastery of the weapon and instead merely an expectation of standard play. Similarly, at lower levels of play, players can still lose relatively quickly to an inaccurate opponent, which minimizes the time they have to figure out the sandbox and learn, often making them feel like they are playing higher skilled players than they really are. Yes, it feels like we're finally getting to the crux of the issue here, which is people not understanding what skill-based matchmaking actually means.
Yeah.
These symptoms are generated by a handful of root causes, each generally linked to others in a cycle of balance that encourages us to touch all of them at once if we're making big changes, or smaller increments if we're modifying things individually. We have certain ability builds with either higher uptime or higher potency than we believe is healthy. To keep those builds in check, we've provided a near constant availability of special ammo, which means there's always a surplus of one-shot kill weapons on the field. And to keep primary weapons competitive, we have made primary weapons highly lethal, fast killing, and in general also very forgiving. All of that leads to a high percentage of deaths in our sandbox, where from the target's perspective, it feels like nothing they could have done differently. We have a risk versus reward problem, to boil it down. Over time, we push some of our sandbox elements to have higher rewards without offsetting them with the risk of punishing suboptimal play. Some elements take it a step further. Instead of just rewarding the attacker, they punish the target. Explosive payload, hand cannons, flinch, and Wish Ender's True Sight are two examples. The following changes will be applied to the Crucible starting on March 5th.
Ooh.
All right, here we go. There is a pretty good amount here. So everybody stick with me. If you somehow have not opened up the TWAB, I encourage you to open it and read along with us, because there is a lot here. There's genuinely a lot here. So let's start with player health. It gives us far more granularity to balance our current and future sandbox elements, and it lets us decrease the relative lethality of multiple sandbox elements like grenades and body shot damage all at once and universally. Player health will be increased by 30 health in base Crucible, so players have 100 health up from 70 and 116 to 130 shield depending on the player's resilience values. That is outstanding. That is great. So basically, cool. They're taking the checkmate modifier and applying it to everything. That checkmate health modifier and applying it across the board. That's what it feels like to me right there.
Yeah.
Ability cooldowns. So I want to be really clear here. There are a lot of PvP content creators who are smarter than me, who have broken some of this stuff down. I would really encourage you guys, if you want a true PvP player's perspective, to go seek out guys like Ascendant Nomad, to seek out things that guys like Cool Guy and True Vanguard may be saying. I believe Fallout Plays put out a video earlier. I've not gotten a chance to watch his yet. Those are guys I would go to who understand the PvP side of things way more than I ever will. You are very much getting a novice, hobbyist look at this. You are not getting I am a god at this game perspective right now.
Yeah.
Ability cooldown, because everything here excites me. Everything here really excites me, and I do think it's for the better of the health of the game. As always, we won't know until we actually put it into practice on March the 5th, but you can bet your butts I'm going to be in there that week putting down Final Fantasy to go and play some Crucible. It also makes sense why we're not getting an Iron Banner for like a month after this update drops.
Yeah.
I think it would be better if we had an Iron Banner like the week after and maybe didn't have trials for a few weeks, but that's just me.
How dare you, Josh?
I think they kind of figure, like, what if we put all these updates out there, and if it's working fine in trials, then it's going to work fine everywhere. Trials and comp. Ability cooldowns. Melee, grenade, and class ability cooldowns now have 15% penalty applied to them in the Crucible only. Super cooldowns have a 20% penalty applied to them in the Crucible only. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I don't have to tell anybody how annoying it is to constantly get ability spammed in the Crucible, especially when you're just trying to play 6v6. And let's be honest, if the 6v6 playlists are not healthy, the rest of your sandbox in any competitive mode is not going to be healthy. You have to start with the core playlists being healthy before you can spread to things like trials and comp and some of your fun little modes like Relic. If control and checkmate and momentum are not working, and Iron Banner are not working, then the game is not working. And it has not been fun for quite some time for the vast majority of the player base. I think this is going to increase it. They have said for years, we want you to focus on gunplay and not on abilities. While they still want you to be able to use abilities because it's the game with space magic, abilities should not dominate the game. This is a first-person shooter. This is a first-person shooter. This is not, I don't know, Space Magic Simulator 2024. Like, I couldn't come up with anything better. This is a first-person shooter at the core of the day. Like, this feels like we're starting to get more towards what Destiny 1 was in terms of a Crucible sandbox. Ability uptimes are being limited. It almost like launched Destiny 2 in a way.
Yeah.
Except there's no weird 4v4 going on. And shotguns aren't considered heavies yet.
Keyword there.
But I like how they follow this up immediately with ability damage. They're going to increase all the ability damage. To account for increased player health and reduced uptime, we've made general changes to melee and super damage and one grenade. So supers increased base damage by 31%. Now that may sound like a lot, but you're getting a buff of 30% health. So maybe this means that unless you get struck directly by a certain super, the Gathering Storm, maybe you won't die right away unless you get hit directly by it. Maybe you'll still have time to get out of that. It's still very hard to get out of the radius of that before you die, but maybe you'll have a better chance at it. Maybe you'll just like take your whole shield and part of your health since your health is getting buffed too. Melee, increased base melee damage by 16%. That makes sense. That's just scaling. And then grenades, increased arc flux grenade damage by 16%. That's a curious one. So because they want to retain the current general rules of most supers killing in one shot and most melees killing in two. These changes make sense. I like that. All right, here we go. We're breaking down the weapons now.
Here we go.
The weapon changes. Primary weapon archetypes. To maintain optimal time to kill rates in the current sandbox with new health values and to place an increased emphasis on precision. All primary weapons except bows will have their crit hit damage increased. We will also reduce the flinch dealt by hand cannons as they were a consistent outlier even compared to other high damage primary weapons like scouts and bows. Pulses, auto rifles, sidearms, and scout rifles increased critical hit damage by 14%. God bless you, Bungie. I love you. I love you. I love you. You didn't nerf my pulses. I love you. I love running a pulse in an auto. Hand cannons increase crit hit damage by 10%. reduced body shot damage by 5%, reduced flinch dealt to players by projectile impact by 12.5%, and explosive payload by 10%. SMGs increased crit hit damage by 12.5%, reduced body shot damage by 3%, bows reduced base damage by 15%. I still don't know if this is enough for bows. I said this above. I don't know if this is enough for bows. I still don't know if this is enough. I have a feeling they're going to take another pass at bows. I think this is a very good. God, I got something in my eye. I think this is a very good first start. Jesus. If you're not watching on the video, I have something like floating on my eye. Jesus Christ.
That's gross.
I got an eyelash fell in my eye.
Do you need to go wash it out, Josh?
No, I'm good. I got it. I think.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah. Yep. I think I got it. Okay. God. If I just get up and leave, then that's what I'm doing. Special ammo acquisition. After a lengthy test period in Crucible Labs, we are ready to move the special ammo meter system into the wider Crucible. You will start every game, all game types, including round-based modes like Dominion, with 2 kills worth of special ammo for your chosen weapon. Instead of 2 kills worth of special ammo being granted every time you respawn, you will earn more ammo by filling up a special ammo meter with points given for getting kills, assists, or completing objectives. Getting 100 points grants you 2 kills worth of special ammo for your chosen weapon. Point values: kills 23, assists 10, deaths 10, zone capture 14, heavy ammo pull 8. Elimination and Divinion point values: kills 38 points, assists and deaths 16, heavy ammo 10. Here's the one that we're all wondering about: 3v3 respawn modes: survival, 3v3 clash, and countdown rush. This includes Trials of Osiris. Kills 26, assists 12, deaths 11. Rumble: kills 30, countdown, charge armed 20, defuse 40, detonated 70. Kills from special ammo weapons and heavy ammo weapons do not grant any points towards ammo meter progress. Jumping off the map will subtract progress from the ammo meter. Ammo is not dropped on death, and you will not lose the special ammo you have earned when you are defeated or are revived. Earned special will carry over between rounds. Swapping from double primary weapons to a special ammo weapon will reset your special ammo meter progress. I love this change so much.
Yeah, this seems like a decent change.
I really hope that this pans out, and I do think this is going to make like the final round of trials even more frantic.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because now it's going to be harder to get your super up in time, and you're going to save that special ammo. You're going to hoard that special that you have until you absolutely need it. But this really encourages you to go back to primary weapon mastery. I love it, and this is the reason why I think bows probably didn't get hit hard enough. Is you still have bows. You still have bows. They don't use special ammo. They use primary.
Yeah,
and that's an issue. Special weapon archetypes to offset the increased health and partially make up for reduced uptime. We've increased the base damage of several special ammo weapons. Trace rifles, shotgun, and fusion rifles increased base damage by 20%. Glaives increased projectile damage by 20% and increased melee damage by 16%. It's all glaive time now, baby.
Glaive time.
Glaives. Let's go, glaives. We're in a glaive meta. Heavy weapon archetypes. So they're really not getting much here. Heavy grenade launchers reducing detonation damage by 5%. We talked about that earlier. Machine guns increase base damage by 20%. That's kind of wild, but I guess you have to be a little wild to use LMG in Crucible. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem.
Gosh, Josh.
Yeah, I like using my LMGs. I never get to pick up heavy anyway, so what does it matter?
Get good,
All
Josh.
Right.
Maybe you need to be sweaty.
Our final section of PvP changes. Exotic weapons. Some exotic weapons partially bypass the economy changes, and in a world with reduced breech-loaded grenade launchers and fusion rifles, They quickly rose to the top of the list of annoyances. Crimson, like other hand cannons, has long been dealing extreme amounts of flinch to other players, and this was exacerbated by the fact that it fires in a burst. It has been custom tuned to deal slightly less flinch than other hand cannons. There were also a couple of other exotic weapons we felt deserved to come up a bit. Fighting Lion, decreased damage versus players in Crucible by 20%. I don't know who is running Fighting Lion, but okay.
I am Josh.
Devil's Ruin has been an outlier for a while. I know this is, I'll put it this way. I was talking about running trials with Saint last weekend to try and get the incisor trace out of trials, and he was like, hey, bring Devil's Ruin, by the way. Decreased charged beam damage against players by 15%. Crimson reduced flinch dealt to players by 17.5%. Forerunner increased damage versus players in Crucible by 20%. Why would you do this? I hate Forerunner. Why would you do this? And then Symmetry increased revolution damage versus players by 16%.
Jeez, Josh, you just got real angry and then you went back to normal. Oh, God. Somebody help.
It's the roid rage. I don't take steroids.
Are you juicing up, Josh?
Clearly, I do not take steroids. Yeah, I'm not. The only thing I'm juicing up is my orange juice.
That's fair.
Maybe making a smoothie for breakfast. There's even more coming next week from the PvP Strike team, including info on new rewards, game modes, matchmaking details, spawn tuning changes, trials, updates, and more. So this is like part 1 of 2, maybe of 3 of changes. But I think in terms of like a sandbox change, this is good. This is a very good first step. This is probably the biggest change that we've seen in several years to the Crucible.
Yeah.
And it's pretty needed, I think. I want to see how this plays with the other changes they're going to talk about next week, because this means nothing if you're not adjusting spawning, which has long been an issue in this game. Look no further than Dead Cliffs, which just won for the trials map for this weekend, which guarantees I'm not touching it. You've got spawning issues on maps that have been in the game since the day that Destiny 2 launched. Dead Cliffs. They took Dead Cliffs out to fix the spawning and it still didn't work. That's how bad it is. That's how bad the spawning is on some of these maps. Rewards. I gotta see what the rewards is going to be about, because we just got info on rewards last week for all the playlists. Like, what are you talking about here? Game modes. Cool, I guess. Matchmaking. Okay. I want to see what the trials update is. I don't know, but like, this is a good first step, but we got to see how it affects the larger picture. Like, we can sit here and praise these changes all day, and that's what I'm going to do. But I'm also kind of in a wait and see mode, because Crucible's been unhealthy for years, and it means nothing if you're not going to attack the actual mode and only going to attack the sandbox. Like, that's going to feel good for a couple weeks, and then we're going to be right back to complaining, because a lot of the modes don't feel good. A lot of the maps don't feel good on certain modes.
Right.
That's a problem. So I'm interested to see what they bring up next week. I will wait and see. I will hold all negative feelings until next week.
He's gonna try, everybody.
I'm gonna try my hardest, but no promises. So moving on, the rest of the TWAB, we really don't have too much else. They are celebrating Lunar New Year in the game. If you have not logged in, log in, get your free envelope of Bright Dust. You can redeem the special Riven emblem, which we went through a really weird saga with this emblem for like 2 weeks. Like, it was only available if you went and signed up for an account on Bilibili and watched like 5 minutes of Destiny streamers. And the best way I can describe Bilibili is like, it's a Chinese Dollar General knockoff of Twitch.
I've never even heard of it, so
it's so bad that, one, I'm pretty sure it steals your credit card info, and two, which that's a joke. It's actually like somewhat reputable. It makes Mixer look like the world's greatest streaming service.
It was the world's greatest streaming service. You shut your mouth.
Mixer was better than the credit that it got. But anyways, this is a really dope emblem. Also, it says something that the person who designed it couldn't even figure out how to get their own emblem. Also, they were laid off from Bungie in the mass layoffs, so do with that what you will. There's some cool stuff available in the shop for Lunar New Year. It's all dragon themed, of course, because we're in the year of the dragon. God, fucking Dead Cliffs is in trials this weekend, so yeah. from February 13th to 27th. The Destiny 2, the story so far, what's still in the game, in parentheses, will be available at Humble Bundle. The Steam versions all currently available Destiny 2 expansions along with the 30th anniversary and Forsaken packs to be acquired by tiers. As is custom with Humble Bundle, when you pay for a higher tier, you get the contents of all lower tiers too. The top tier bundle will get you the Forsaken pack, Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, the 30th anniversary, the Witch Queen, Lightfall, and Lightfall's annual pass, which includes Ghosts of the Deep and Warlord's Ruin dungeon tokens, and the 4 seasons launch during 2023 for $40. That is a fucking steal. We hear all the time about how the
Pretty
price
good.
of entry is too high. That is a great deal.
It's pretty good.
I personally bought myself a key the other day because I plan on using this when I get a ROG ally in the next few weeks for some on-the-go Destinying, and I have access to all my content now. So
Nice.
yes, I'm very much looking forward to that. I like
I
it.
got the I did the Epic Games Store free bundle during Christmas just to have it,
Yes.
but I don't know when or how I'm going to use it. So
I don't like the Epic Store, so nor do I have a PC yet. And I know that'll be moot with the ROG, but I would rather have stuff through Steam personally.
yeah.
On top of that, 5% of all proceeds go to the Bungie Foundation. So not only are you expanding your collection of Destiny 2 content, you're also supporting the humanitarian efforts of our nonprofit charity organization at the same time. I wanted to bring up the Bungie Foundation, actually. Game to Give ended last week, and Saint messaged me after the campaign was over. I did not get a chance to read it last week. He and I did not talk until I believe it was Friday night or Saturday morning. But he said we raised $240 as a community through that.
Nice.
So shout out to Saint for kind of organizing that one on the fly. I'm really glad that we were able to do that. Well, I should say that he was able to do it.
No, we did it.
Did not get my donation in time. But I am looking forward to doing that in the future. That's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I've kind of been hesitant for us to do it as a community. It was cool to see people respond to that in the Discord, though. So,
Good job, community. Good job.
So here's a little note here. In player support, closer to the heart triumph information. Due to an issue directly related to the delay of the final shape, the closer to the heart triumph located in the Season of the Wish triumph area appeared earlier than intended. The mission that will complete this triumph will become available later this season. So there is still another story mission to come, which we all kind of suspected, but it's nice to have this confirmed that we're not just like, our Guardian isn't just like shitting their pants and standing around for like 6 months.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. There's another mission. It'll probably unlock like mid-May or something.
Sure. Yeah.
I can't imagine it unlocking any sooner.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would.
You would hope not.
You never know.
You're not wrong.
It's gonna unlock tomorrow.
I would be so mad. I would just, I don't even know what I would do. That's it for Twid this week. Blah, blah, blah. There's nothing there at the end. That is a lot bigger than I think any of us planned on it being this week.
Yeah, this was yeah. It was large. It was beefy. It only took us 58 minutes to get through, though, Josh.
It only took us 58 minutes to get through the TWAB. As a result of how long this is, and as Corey mentioned, I do have places to be tonight. We are going to skip Lore Corner, but we are still going to get to your questions. So let's go ahead and jump on into questions. Sam, the Lord of Bananas, asks, for the final time we are allowing it between now and the final shape coming out. I swear to God, I'm skipping it anytime I get this question anymore.
You ask again, you're banned. You hear me?
No, I'm just gonna call you. I'm gonna call you out publicly on the show.
Jiggly Panda. Who
Sam
asked it this time? Sam.
Sam asks, which crossovers could you see in the future of Destiny? What kind of cosmetics or weapons would they bring to the game? I will say at least like cosmetics and weapons is different. John and I kind of briefly talked about this one last week. Our dream crossover was Mass Effect because it just fits so perfectly.
Yeah.
I don't have another crossover I would want to see. I think that just the nature of how Destiny is makes it very hard to bring weapons in. I got something much more suited to Fortnite. Like we threw around the idea like, oh, it would be really cool if you could get like the N7 rifle or something. And then we were like, oh well, what if it was a weapon ornament? And then that brings up the issue of, well, it can only be put on one weapon, not like all your auto rifles or something. It gets really silly. The best compromise we could come up with is release it as a Suros ornament, because Suros is already an iconic auto rifle. It would
Yeah.
have to be for an exotic anyways.
Mm-hmm.
That could be cool. I think maybe putting a ornament out for a sword that's in the game. I don't know, it's like for a Lament or something, I guess, but it's not. It doesn't fit the size of Lament. You could give them Geralt's sword.
Yeah.
Could have been cool. I think that's such a hard thing to do, and I think that most companies are going to say no, except if it's something like Fortnite. Because even Fortnite, it's not like, oh, we're putting in specific weapons from these games. It's, we're letting you pick up a fucking Kamehameha, or All Might Smash, and Gojo's Hollow Purple. Things that would never work in any other game. I think that's like picking up Ninja Turtle weapons in Fortnite is totally different than like, oh yeah, let's put Donatello's staff in fucking Destiny.
Dude, so I bought speaking of Ninja Turtles, I bought the Ninja Turtles and April like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And now there's that massive like Ninja Turtles crossover event, and Splinter is in it, and then you can also get Shredder through this quest line or whatever.
Yeah, well, so you have to buy the premium pass to get Shredder.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
I forked out the $10. He'll come to the store, even if you don't do it, he'll come to the store in a couple months. Because they've done that with the previous mini passes for Star Wars and Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
He'll come to the store eventually.
I want a Casey Jones skin. Where's my Casey Jones skin at?
I don't care about Ninja Turtles, so I can't answer that for you. I think the Shredder skin looks awesome though.
Yeah, the Shredder skin's pretty good.
So I did get the pass. I like that you can get all 4 of the turtle pose emotes without having to actually buy the pass. Those are all free. As long as you do specific quests. So anyways, I don't really want to see anything like this in Destiny though. Like, I think that takes away from what makes Destiny cool. Like, I thought it was really cool that they put Jav 4 and some of the Destiny weapons into, or like some of the Destiny supers, quote unquote, into Fortnite for that creative mode that they made. I thought that was really cool. This just, I don't know, this isn't something I want to see. I know that I may be, raining on everybody's parade here, but like, I think Destiny has so many iconic weapons of its own. I don't need to see things like giving us Forerunner and the BXR is the closest I ever want to get to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that
the
was
Halo...
a very, very specific instance.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Halo crossover, obviously Bungie, huge, obviously in the Halo space, right?
Yeah,
and so that made a lot of sense. Also,
it made sense because
Epic.
it was originally their IP, and I mean, Microsoft had to approve that too.
Yeah,
like, but you had weapons you had stuff from Marathon, you had the sword from Myth. So like that stuff made sense to be in there. But I don't want to see anything else. Like, I'm fine with if it relates to games that you have worked on. I wouldn't mind, like, maybe when Marathon is about to come out, like, oh, maybe there's a Marathon gun in here.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's going to be a Destiny Easter egg or two.
I'm sure if you pre-order Marathon and you have Destiny, you're going to unlock an emblem, maybe a ghost, and maybe a weapon.
I don't even know if it'll be a weapon. It'll probably be an exotic ornament, though.
Something.
I could see them giving you an actual weapon, and I think that's easier because that is a franchise in-house. It makes sense. It makes sense. It just, I don't really want to see this.
Plus, like the Marathon stuff, kind of. I mean, you could easily apply that to something Amalon, like an Amalon something, because.
Well, I mean that's what they did, because like I think correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's the Amalon. No, it's Mita. Mita exists in Marathon. Like, Mita multi-tool is a reference to Marathon already, to classic Marathon. So I don't want to see anything else from crossovers. Stop with the crossovers for a while. You really need to focus on making sure that the final shape lands. And I have said it time and time again, I would rather see cool original sets than in other armor sets. Like, yeah, the Witcher armor is cool, but why the fuck am I a space pirate? Why am I a space wizard running around in chainmail? Like,
yeah,
Why am I, running around in Assassin's Creed? Why am I running around as a Spartan soldier and not the Master Chief type of Spartan soldier as a hunter? Like,
But
I'm going to keep bringing this one up because it makes me so mad.
I mean, hey man, I don't know.
Anyways, so that's it. That's the final word on crossovers. I'm not talking about crossovers for at least 3 more months. 3 to 4 more months. I will not read another crossover question until then. Bungie would literally have to come out and announce that they're doing another crossover for me to talk about it. Saint writes in, hot take. Marinara sauce takes away from a mozzarella stick but enhances the flavor of a chicken parm. That is a hot take because I like marinara sauce on my mozzarella sticks.
I dip my mozzarella sticks in ranch dressing.
You're disgusting.
It's fine. I don't like marinara or red sauce though.
You're disgusting.
I am. That's fine.
Also, when drinking the almighty chocolate milk or strawberry milk, the powder is better than the syrup. I'm going to do you one better. I don't use either powder or syrup. I buy it already mixed at the store.
Yeah, I buy the half gallon of like just chocolate milk.
Yeah, brother, I'm buying HEB brand chocolate milk. Like, I'm not buying anything else. In fact, case in point,
who still buys the syrup? Like,
I can safely say I have not bought Hershey's syrup probably in like 13 years. Like, I think I was in my first apartment the last time I bought it. And my roommate made such a mess with it that I swore I was never buying it ever again. So, yeah, I was absolutely in my first apartment the last time I bought it. My girlfriend she really likes Ovaltine. So we still buy powder. We still buy powder, but she doesn't make chocolate milk with it. I guess she does. She calls it cocoa, but it's like very like lukewarm. It's like definitely just warmer chocolate milk. Mm-hmm. She doesn't make it with water or anything. It's like she makes it with milk. It is warmed up chocolate milk. And it's not half bad, but yeah, she goes to power. Who the fuck likes strawberry milk is what I want to know.
Yeah.
I want names. I just want to talk. I want to talk and make sure that you're okay. I have a feeling that Ronnie likes strawberry milk.
Yeah, he looks like the type that would like strawberry milk.
That's right, Ronnie. You look like somebody who enjoys strawberry milk.
I can see him sitting there on his his PS5 playing Destiny, sipping on a Yoo-hoo style bottle of strawberry milk with a straw in it.
Okay, but seriously, how fucking good is Yoo-hoo? Like, for real though. Like, let's stop this strawberry milk nonsense and let's talk about some Yoo-hoo. One of my favorite movie lines of all time is in Kangaroo Jack. Jerry O'Connell is out in the desert. He tells Anthony Anderson, "Damn, I think I just sweated out a bottle of Yoo-hoo I drank in the 6th grade."
God.
I don't remember anything else about that fucking movie other than like I think Christopher Walken is like the father-in-law and tries to kill Jerry O'Connell.
Oh God.
That's very weird.
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, no. Kangaroo Jack, the first time that I learned that the trailer does not always represent what happens in the movie. I thought it was going to be about a rapping kangaroo. I could not have been more wrong. That was just a hallucination that Jerry O'Connell has out in the desert after he's dehydrated.
God.
It was a little weird. I'm like, yeah, okay, well.
Sounds weird.
This is a whole ass thing that happened. Yeah, and then they made a sequel.
Oh, God.
They made an animated sequel called G'day USA. That's a real thing. Kangaroo Jack, G'day USA. That is a real thing that happened.
God, dude, when you said Kangaroo Jack at first, I thought you were talking about the kids show in Big Daddy.
No, I'm talking about the CGI kangaroo.
Well, I know
that introduced the world to Anthony Anderson. For those of us who didn't watch like Hustle and Flow because we weren't old enough to at the time, this introduced us to Anthony Anderson. Imagine my surprise when I found out that he did more than Kangaroo Jack and I was not allowed to watch his other movies. Anyways, Joasis writes in, build your dream burger.
Oh God.
Guys, this is real simple, all right? I'm gonna need a plain white bun. I'm gonna need to put it on the grill for like 10 seconds. Put a little bit of butter on there, let crisp just a tiny bit of crisp. And then I'm going 2 patties. I'm going 2 slices of cheese.
Mm.
This is really important because the cheese dictates the burger, in my opinion.
It's really important, everybody.
I'm serious. Like, you can go with, traditional American, which is not real cheese, by the way. Or you can get a little spicy with it. I do like, there's a spicy jalapeno cheese that I like to get at the deli. I'm a big fan of Colby Jack on a burger. Gouda. You ever put melted Gouda on a burger?
I can't say that I have, Josh.
It's phenomenal, Corey. You should live a little.
Mm.
So I put those on. I gotta put some lettuce on there. I need some ketchup and I need some mayo. Sometimes I get really crazy and instead of ketchup I put barbecue sauce on it. And then boom. Oh, you got to put some french fries on that bad boy. You got to put some french fries on there no matter what. Works best if they're shoestring, but crinkle cut and steak fries also work.
I have a hot take for you, Josh.
What's your hot take, Corey? You
I
don't like
don't
burgers now?
I don't put cheese on my burgers, and I don't crisp up the bun.
I can accept the no bun crisping, but you don't put cheese on your burgers?
No, I'm not a cheese person. I don't crave cheese like people
okay.
do.
So Corey has not only committed 1 but 2 sins. He doesn't put cheese on his burgers, and he's not a cheese person.
No,
Corey, do you have animals in your house?
No, my children. Does that
Do
count?
you have to pay? You never have to pay the cheese tax?
No.
Because every time I go to the fridge, my cat thinks I'm getting cheese, and you have to pay the cheese tax.
My kids eat a lot of cheese, and probably a dangerous amount of cheese.
Is that why you don't like cheese?
No, I. It's not that I don't like cheese. I don't like go out of my way to put cheese on things. Like if it's there, the only thing I really
the 3 most important parts of a burger is the bun, the meat, the cheese.
Here's the thing. Here's what I like cheese on. Okay, I like cheese on tacos and quesadillas and what any other burritos, I guess, any kind of Mexican establishment or Earl's sandwich, Josh. Which, let me tell you, I have a sad story about Earl's sandwich that I can tell you later. Let's see what I'm going to tell you now.
I'm just so I'm so hurt by this that I'm moving on.
Josh, I have a sad story to tell you about Earl's sandwich, by the way.
I heard you.
I bought 2 sandwiches to bring home with me, and I left them in the fridge in the hotel.
Okay, that's a little funny. I'm sorry. You left like $20 worth of sandwiches in a fridge.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope the housekeeper enjoyed her old sandwich.
Yeah.
They probably didn't. They probably just threw it right away.
Probably.
Jiggly Panda writes in and goes, what would be your thoughts if they did a mission kind of like Lone Wolf at the end of Halo Reach for the final mission of the final shape? I feel like we haven't been tested as a Guardian. This would be an awesome test. My whole thing about Lone Wolf isn't a test. It's funny. Like, it's funny that Halo Reach is the final game that they make in the Halo series before they make Destiny, because the whole theme of Halo Reach is there is no hope. It is an insurmountable task. You are destined to die no matter what. You cannot change that outcome. Destiny is about hope and about the future. And I feel like doing a mission like that would really take away from it. I think we've already done this mission in a lot of ways. I think it's in you can't play it anymore, but I think it's in the Red War.
Yeah, I was going to say that first kind of couple levels of the Red War.
Well, you got the first couple levels of the Red War in the city, but I'm more arguing that taking the city back, it's a task you're probably going to fail at. And, the Vanguard falls and the city has fallen, and then it's you 1v1 in Gaul, who has the powers of the Traveler. And just when all hope is lost, the exact opposite of Lone Wolf happens. The Traveler awakens and kills Gaul to save you. You hear from the Traveler, essentially, being the only Guardian to really ever do it. So, this isn't me saying that I wouldn't welcome a mission like that, but I think the phrasing here is wrong. I don't think it's about testing us. If you're gonna put a mission like that, one, our Guardian has to be nearing a send off. If you're gonna do that, like, I see that being like the final mission of like Destiny as a franchise. If you're going to do something like that, if you were going to start a new game in the franchise and say, well, your Guardian is being retired, then that would be one thing. I think also like just Destiny's nature of like you can get rezzed by your Ghost makes that like kind of a moot point unless you kill Ghost. If they kill Ghost, then that's totally different.
It's true.
That's totally different, but I feel like we get these when you play missions solo and their darkness zones. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything else to say about that. I think you hit it. I think you hit the nail on the head.
I love Lone Wolf, and like part of this is me like sheltering it, like, oh dear, oh gorgeous. It's the Gordon Ramsay meme. That is like maybe one of the best video game experiences of all time is Lone Wolf. But I think that both Homecoming and I forget what the name of the final mission when you attack the tower is, Take It Back. But those two are the missions that I would point to as being like, we've actually gotten pretty close to this. Also, what would be your thoughts if they did a kind of museum for the franchise, like how they did at the end of Modern Warfare 2? It's called Give Me a Guardian Apartment, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not hard. This is so easy to do. This would be such a layup. I actually kind of like how they've done the fish tank because there's artifacts from all the seasons in there. I think that's actually really cool. I just wish you could inspect them and have like a little inscription about like what that object is and like what season it came from and stuff, which would be more in line with this.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool thing. I don't know if there's the resources to do something like that. I feel like all resources would have to be on other things, and at that point, just give me the Guardian apartment. It's not that hard. Let me do it. Let me have my own private museum. The people of the tower, ordinary humans, don't need to see this shit. They don't need to see my 15 Gallarhorn ornaments.
It's true.
They don't need to know that I had a collaboration with Nerf back in the day. Ronnie writes in.
Ronnie.
Goes, I know you guys haven't logged in quite some time. Rude. I take that offensively, Ronnie. We played 2 weeks ago.
I logged in today.
But with the Humble Bundle promo going on, backlash from the community about it, but I've seen nothing but new lights pretty much fill up the tower when I land. That being said, besides stating the obvious things, what would be some marketing strategies you would like to see them try to bring in new lights? I think the Humble Bundle is a great first approach. You need something like that on consoles, though. The best approach to getting people in is reducing the cost of entry. And it can't just be the sales that go on. I would say look at it as something like ESO. So ESO, whenever you buy the newest expansion, you get all the previous expansions as part of it. All of them. So you're paying for the new price up front, but it makes newer players able to jump in so much easier. I know in the past they used to sell, you could buy just the upgrade for the new one, or you could buy the complete edition. So like the upgrade was like 30 or 40 bucks, but if you bought the whole story, it was like 60.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could buy like this for 30, and you could buy like the previous two would be on sale for like $10 a piece. The only way you could get anything beyond those was to buy the whole package. And at that point, you're getting like 8 expansions. Yeah. There's no excuse why Destiny can't do this. They used to do this. There's no reason why they can't continue to do this. Mm-hmm. We have all complained about it. The store is very complicated. It is really hard to tell on Steam. It is hard to tell on console what you need. Because not only do they have this, they also have there's emote and silver bundles that are thrown into all this too, that are labeled like the Vault of Glass bundle, for example, or like the seasonal bundle. And it's really hard to figure out for a new player what you actually need to start playing the game. Humble Bundle has done it correctly. $40 is a pretty appropriate price for most of the way through the year of an expansion to get everything. There is no reason why Forsaken, Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, the 30th or the 30th anniversary should be their own SKUs at this point. All of that should be rolled in. All of it should be rolled in.
Yeah.
I would even go so far as to say we are close enough to the final shape that the Witch Queen should not be getting sold by itself anymore either. All of that should be rolled into Lightfall for the same price. And I understand that maybe and clearly we know that they're not hitting their profit margins. That's probably why something like this isn't happening. But it says something when even Bungie is telling you, hey, go buy the Humble Bundle. Mm-hmm. For $40.
Yeah.
And you get everything. You get every single piece of experience. You get every single piece of content that's currently in the game. There's no excuse not to do It's just corporate greed and not understanding pricing structures. That's the best marketing you can do, is lower the barrier of entry. Or hey, make some of that content like the Forsaken pack. There's no reason. You're basically paying for the exotic weapons and for Last Wish and the Shattered Throne at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just make that available to everyone?
Right.
Why are we still paying for Shadowkeep? Why is Shadowkeep not available to everyone? There's no story mode. That basically is where the story starts at this point, is on the moon. Why would you not want to make that available to everyone? Why are we still locking subclasses behind, Beyond Light that's been out for 4 years?
Right.
There's no reason for some of this stuff anymore. That's the absolute best that I think you can do, is that and also, like, they need to make, I would say they probably need to make the tower less congested. The new light stuff should be bam, it should be right there in the tower. It should be right there at the beginning. You should not have to run all the way down to Ikora or something to pick up your stuff. If you're going to do that, let us drop off at Ikora. I know you can spawn in at the annex, but whatever. You need to make it totally, completely clear. This is who you need to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest problem, as we've repeatedly said, there's no base story, and that was the biggest thing we lost with the Red War and Forsaken, was there was no real story to follow. Now, when you start up with Shadowkeep, you're kind of coming in partway through. Like, the Shattered Throne and Last Wish are just kind of hanging out there now. There's no setup to it. I can only hope and pray that Into the Light is part of their, I don't know how to phrase this. That's part of their initiative.
That thought that we thought maybe Project Goliath was going to be.
Man, yeah, because they keep saying that, like, it's going to be stuff you haven't thought about in a few years. Like, that really is, like, that is, and I'm probably reading too much into it, but I mean, we've always said that, like, the dream is that it's the old campaigns coming back, because what better way to prepare people for the final shape than to bring back those 4 campaigns?
Yeah.
And to bring back those destinations, and to bring back, those strikes, and all that content. There is no reason why that content should not be in the game, especially because we're seeing the apex of Crow's story, and you can't even see Crow's fall. You can't see Aldrin's fall and the rebirth as Crow. That's been taken out. The cutscene where he's reborn as Crow is out of the game. And this is so important for us to understand one of, like, probably the 5 or 6 most important characters in the entire saga. And we can't see any of the events that led to him being reborn. We can't see any of it. He's so important, he had a whole expansion about him.
Yep.
Like, what are we even doing here? What are we even doing at this point? So that's the best strategy you can do. Reduce the cost of entry and give us an actual story mode for new players that will guide them through these things. And that's, like, for all its faults, that's what the Red War did.
Yep.
So I don't know. My rant over. Saint also commented on this and said, I've seen a lot in PIF. I have nothing to do. I usually try to join them or invite them and do whatever they need help with. Adopt a Guardian is a real thing. Tiger Jesus writes in with the final question of the night and goes, what are some theme parks you want to visit for the first time?
Oh, God.
Tokyo Disneyland.
Yeah, Tokyo Disneyland
is the only answer.
Yeah, and Disney Sea. Yeah, I really want to go there.
Yeah, just the whole Tokyo Disney Resort. I will say, as a caveat, I've been there before, but I've never gotten to see, like, this part of it. I really want to go see Avengers Campus out of California Adventure, and I really want to see Super Nintendo World.
Yeah, I think Tokyo Disney is the one for me.
That's the bucket list.
Yeah. Tower Casuals trip. Do you think they have a Japanese version of Earl of Sandwich out there?
No, but they are building a 2-story one at Disneyland, California.
Yeah, I know that. I know.
I was pretty excited about that.
Samurai of Sandwich.
My partner is going to Disney World in April. She's no longer going to Disneyland. They changed their trip to go to Disney World. And so I'm sending her with a shopping list and requesting that she goes and buys Earl of Sandwich before going to the airport to bring me home a sandwich for dinner.
Tell her not to forget it in the fridge.
She won't. She's going to go on the way to the airport. That and some power limes. I need some power limes.
Oh, dude, I had power limes for the first time.
Were they good?
Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah, I asked her to buy, like, just buy a box of them. I don't care how much it costs. Just buy a box.
Yeah. They're really good.
Given that everybody I know in my life who likes a Goofy movie, which is like 3 people that I actually see on a regular basis.
Man,
All my
dude.
friends who like a Goofy movie are online, and I'm sorry, I love all of you, but I'm not sending you power lines.
Oh, dude, they had Powerline World Tour T-shirts down there, and I really wanted one.
I'm so excited. I need them to retheme Rock and Roller Coaster as that.
Oh man, dude,
I will say it's not open yet, but I am really stoked for Epic Universe in 2 years because they've got a How to Train Your Dragon Land. I don't care about the Harry Potter stuff. They've done enough Harry Potter at 2 other parks.
Well, it's also based on the Fantastic Beasts movies.
Yeah, which is an automatic no-go for me. They've got Universal Monsters, which I really love the 1930s and 40s Universal Monster movies.
Yeah,
like
but
the
then
classic Mummy and things like that.
But aren't those already in the parks? Are they just moving them over there?
No, they don't have any rides. They do stuff with them for Halloween Horror Nights. They have a Mummy ride, but it's based off the Brendan Fraser movie.
Well, yeah, that's the right Mummy to base a ride off of.
You shut your whore mouth.
Dude, I love those movies.
I'm very excited that they're gonna have stuff for the Mummy, for Dracula, for Frankenstein, that's totally Creature from the Black Lagoon, that's totally up my alley. And then Super Nintendo World, which includes not only the Donkey Kong coaster, which is something that's not at the other 2, but there is a heavily rumored Legend of Zelda land coming to it.
Yeah.
Which if there's a Legend of Zelda, listen, if I can walk up and I can pull the Master Sword, like you can pull the Sword in the Stone at Magic Kingdom, I'm gonna cry. I'm just going to cry because that's going to be the greatest day of my life. And it better not be relegated to one, shit-faced 8-year-old child can do it a day. It better be a whole bunch of grown-ass adults can go and pull it whenever they want to. If I'm not allowed to pose with the Master Sword and a Hylian shield, what are we doing? What are we doing as a society if I cannot do that? If I cannot buy an ocarina in the park, what are we doing?
What Zelda is this going to be based off of, though?
I mean, I need it to be Ocarina of Time. It feels most sensible that they're going to pull from Ocarina.
Yeah,
it's the most iconic Zelda. It gives you Link, Zelda, Ganondorf. You can tie Sheik into it. You can have Hyrule Castletown.
I also think that Ocarina's art style lends itself the most favorably to matching the Mario and Donkey Kong stuff.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Don't get me wrong. I love Breath of the Wild. I mean, Breath of the Wild is the greatest game ever made, in my opinion. I love that in Tears of the Kingdom. The only thing I want from that is I want Koss the bird playing the accordion in the park. I would welcome that. Also, can we get somebody in a Sidon costume just posing?
I'm sure that'll be there.
I hope it's there.
Man, I wonder.
It's so cool. I just need them to have plenty of land because I'm gonna need a Metroid ride. I'm gonna need a Star Fox ride. We could really go places with this.
Nintendo should have just done their own theme park.
Nintendo really should have just done their own.
Yeah,
it also would have been better.
Maybe partner with Universal, but have Universal build their own theme park. Just a land in a theme park is not enough for Nintendo.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. After seeing Galaxy's Edge, I'm just sitting here going they could have done better than Universal.
Yeah, I know. But the problem though is that Nintendo and Disney both want to control the
100%.
Creative control. And
I'm not saying that they should have partnered with Disney or anything.
No,
but
they should have.
You could have done better. You could have done better on your own, I think.
Yeah.
But also this way they're not assuming the costs of construction and operations and things like that. So Universal needed a slam dunk too.
Yeah.
Harry Potter was cool, but you need something else, and Nintendo is forever and non-controversial.
Yeah.
So, all right, Corey, let's get out of here.
All right, Josh. I want to thank everybody for watching and listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. It's good to be back in the seat talking some Destiny.
We will talk about Corey's vacation next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff later. We've got some important things to do. Josh has places to be. So, Josh, thank you for your time tonight, as always. Where can we find you?
Twitter @Josh_Finn. I'm usually just making fun of fanboys and pushing the Luka Doncic for MVP agenda.
That's fair. You can find me at I am Corey in HD. You can follow us at Tower Casuals. You can join the Discord. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.